Welcome again to Bloomerang Academy. Thank you so much for joining us today, where we are talking about some Giving Tuesday tips and tricks that can help you, and specifically, how can you use Bloomerang to help with your Giving Tuesday efforts. So today we're going to take a look at specifically how to use Bloomerang for Giving Tuesday. Now, this doesn't mean that there are other tools you might be using. You can still keep using them in conjunction with what you're doing with Bloomerang, but a lot of the samples that we'll show you today, of course, will use Bloomerang. We'll show you some of our donor and volunteer communications. We have some new email templates that are available for free in your database. So if you check them out now, they're actually already there and updated for this year. We'll also take a look at online donation forms and fraud prevention. Online donation is huge, as we all know, so that's going to be a big focus of your Giving Tuesday efforts, or what we'll talk about today. Social sharing is also a big thing. Giving Tuesday generates a lot of social media impressions, so we'll talk about our Twitter listening hub today. We'll also talk about how you can thank your supporters for participating or supporting your organization during Giving Tuesday. And we'll also go through some tips for using our Bloomerang mobile or our iOS app. And at the end, we'll go through some additional resources as well. Everyone is going to receive a copy or will receive an email with a link to the recording and the slides. So don't worry, all the additional resources are linked from here, so you can go back to the slides and go to the resources. I also wanted to clarify that our focus for today is how to use Bloomerang to support your organization's Giving Tuesday efforts and goals. This isn't necessarily an A to Z marketing plan or a one-size-fits-all Giving Tuesday plan. Each of your organizations are unique, and we hope some of the strategies that we share today will help you execute your strategies towards achieving your goals. Just a little background on Giving Tuesday. This happens on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving as a kind of a response to all the commercialism that happens. You have Thanksgiving, and then you have Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and now we have Giving Tuesday. This was started in 2012 by the 92nd Street Y, and this really is fueled by the power of social media and collaboration. Organizations use this as a platform to encourage donations, whether that be of time, of resources and talents, to address really local challenges that they are experiencing. But also, this is a great opportunity for storytelling and cultivating donors and building momentum around your mission. And I emphasize this a lot because part of thinking about Giving Tuesday is, don't just think about it as a one-time event. Think of this as a platform to launch these. If you acquire new donors during Giving Tuesday, how can you cultivate that, and how can you keep that relationship going with those donors? And think of it as an overall strategy of, how does this fit in with your fall appeals? How does this fit in with your year-end appeals, instead of just thinking of it as standalone, because these things lead into each other? How can you leverage that? So first, let's take a look at Giving Tuesday results from last year. And really, last year was a record-breaking saw a record-breaking number of giving in the United States. Last year, on Giving Tuesday, $2.47 billion was raised on December 1st in the US alone. 2019 was when Giving Tuesday started tracking the breakdown between online donations and offline donations. So that is important to note that offline donations do still happen. So don't forget about that. And we had two days of giving, at least in terms of giving last year. We had Giving Tuesday Now and the regular Giving Tuesday for the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And I do want to point out that I know a lot of you are concerned about donor fatigue. And I have an article linked later as well to address that may be an overwhelming feeling, but data shows that people are still giving and people are still willing to give. So don't stop fundraising. This is still, you are here to support your mission, and that's important, and it's important to keep fundraising. And as the numbers show, $2.4 billion in donations in the US alone that year, or last year. I bet we equal or surpass that number for this year as well. Now, where do you start? First, make a plan. If you haven't already done so, it's not too late. Or if you don't have a playbook yet, it's not too late. We have a link to a lot of resources for timelines from GivingTuesday itself as well as to when to do what. So we'll link to that at the end, but make a plan. And know that participation can take a variety of forms. You can do some fundraising, you can do social awareness, you can do a thankathon, you can do a live streaming event. You can do any or all of these. It's really up to you. Think about what your organization really wants to do and what you have the capacity for and what you have the appetite for. And think about, do you want to focus on a particular type of donation or a segment of donors? So I know a lot of you out there are 1 or 2 person shops and you wear multiple hats. And we just want to send out the message that you don't have to do everything. You can think about what is realistically for you to achieve and base your plan off of that as well. So for example, for here, even if you focus on fundraising, it doesn't necessarily have to be your entire base of prospects or donors, but you can choose a segment as well. You can also think about, do you want to solicit one-time volunteer or ongoing volunteers? For last year, we had a lot of interest in doing just a GivingTuesday Thankathon. They weren't even focusing on fundraising, but more of just the gratitude and thanking the donors and enlisting the help of volunteers to make that happen. And really think critically about your organization's goals and how you can capitalize on the GivingTuesday excitement. There is a lot of GivingTuesday excitement, and it's nice to carry over or to use that momentum to meet your goals, but it really all starts from what are your goals and how do you use GivingTuesday to help meet your goals. I wanted to show some trends here as well, relating personal interactions to revenue. We looked at data from Bloomerang customers and how personal interactions affected their revenues. For example, here we have for phone calls, for organizations that made a phone call to their donors or recorded a phone call to their donors, they saw a 32% increase in revenue versus those who didn't, that saw a dip in revenue. And what we're seeing here as a trend is people are craving, or donors are craving, constituents are craving for that personal interaction. And personal interaction doesn't necessarily mean in person. It could be a phone call, it could be a personal email, it could be a text message. If you have that relationship with your donor, that text message is an option. That's a great option for you. And in-person interactions here, again, don't necessarily have to be in person. This counts virtual, I say in air quotes, in-person interactions as well. So it looks like the personal interactions really helps drive that revenue as well. So how can you use Bloomerang to complement your GivingTuesday efforts? We've broken this down into several phases, right? What can you do in the preparation stages? What can you do day of? What can you do after? So let's look at preparation. There's a couple of we're going to talk about integrations here first because typically they take a little bit longer to set up than everything else. We're not talking about them first just because they're most important or anything like that, but typically this this takes a little bit more time in terms of setup. So options here, you can take a look at peer-to-peer fundraising, you can do virtual events, you could do live streaming, and there's several ways you can do this. We recently released Kindful Fundraising, which gives you an option for peer-to-peer and virtual events, and we'll take a look at that as well. We also have integration partners that can help you with this. If you're already using any of these tools, you can keep using them, of course. If you haven't done any of these before, these are great options for you to look into. First, peer-to-peer. I personally love peer-to-peer because it really gives you the opportunity to widen your network. By turning supporters into fundraisers, that effectively widens your network because it's going to reach a wider audience that you may not have had access to before. And because they're hearing about it from their friends, from their peers, they are more likely to give and to support in support of their peers, of their friends, even if they've never heard of your organization before. It also allows supporters to be more creative in how they can spread the message and tell the story of your organization from their point of view. This is a sample that we have here. This is set up using Kindful Fundraising, which you can avail of in Bloomerang. What I love about this is that it gives donors the option to donate now, but they can also, right from your website, create a team to start fundraising for your organization. You can also see here that you can set a goal, and this is a good motivator for your supporters to help you meet those goals. We all want to help each other meet those goals, so this is a great motivator for them that you can use. This is a sample peer-to-peer page as well. Another thing I like about this is you have a real-time feed here of recent transactions, and people can comment. So if they want to cheer the organization on, cheer the team as you go along, that's possible. We have some social media sharing options here. I love this too, and we'll tie this back to our Twitter listening hub as well. It's really important to get the word out, and it's really, GivingTuesday is really driven by the community. So if you want to get the community involved with your fundraising as well. This is a great sample that I wanted to show. This is a customer that's using Kindful Fundraising for their peer-to-peer platform, and they have what they call a do-it-yourself fundraising. And what I love about this is they have simple directions here for how to create, share, and fundraise for organizations, for their organization. And it invites their supporters to create their own DIY fundraiser. And if we go to the next slide here, you can see the different types of fundraising activities that have been created that have come from supporters themselves. And because it's being generated, because it's originating from the supporters, they can personalize it for themselves. There's a trivia night, there's baking, there's another trivia night, just a simple, hey, it's a fundraiser by this person. And it really allows fundraisers to be supportive. A great thing about this as well is it doesn't have to stop with GivingTuesday. If you've never done this before and you want to try it with GivingTuesday, this is a good time to try it. But especially with a DIY fundraiser, your supporters can sign up and do fundraising at any time during the year. And again, that's where I go back to think about, this isn't just a one-time effort that you're doing for GivingTuesday, but you can set this up for GivingTuesday, see how it goes, see how your constituents and donors and supporters respond to it, and you can even leave it up throughout the year and keep that relationship and that activity going. So again, this is through Kindful Fundraising, which you can purchase as an add-on to your Bloomerang subscription. a couple of great results that I think speak well to why you would want to do peer-to-peer fundraising is we have a customer here who has said, we've been able to reach out to our donors via Kindful crowdfunding or peer-to-peer, and our donations have doubled. And it allows us to encourage more people to build their own crowdfunding pages without paying high fees or needing our constant oversight. This has freed up a lot of human resources for us by being so simple. So this is something that you can set up one time. And again, if you leave it up, people can keep signing up to do fundraisers for your organization, and you don't have to do any of the work for that, because those supporters are doing their work to spread that word to their network. So a big thing that you need to do, we've talked about peer-to-peer fundraising, but also just your online giving forms, right? We know a lot of you, if not all of you, or most of you already have an online giving form on your website, but there's a couple of things you can do to optimize it for GivingTuesday, I should say. First of all, make sure you have Google reCAPTCHA. What this does is help prevent fraud from coming into your online donation forms. It is a big giving day, so you want to make sure that all of the donations coming in are legitimate, and you want to realize that revenue for your organization. Second, create a GivingTuesday campaign so that it's easier for you to track where those efforts are coming in from. So you can create online giving forms specifically for GivingTuesday, associate that campaign with the form so you can report on that easier later on. You can also, if you set up specific pages for GivingTuesday, you can customize messaging on that page, on that form, toward your GivingTuesday efforts. And of course, if you set up a separate form, you can also customize the success page. You can customize the messaging, you can customize the thank you email, you can also customize the social media sharing options. Before we go into mass emails, I'm going to hop into my database here. And again, you have several options for this. Perhaps you already have a donation form on your website. You may just need to make a couple of tweaks. You can use the built-in Bloomerang forms, or you can use Kindful fundraising. I wanted to really quickly show you how to create a campaign for GivingTuesday. So you go to your campaigns, and this is for administrators in the database. So you can see here, I've had previous campaigns for GivingTuesday 2019 and GivingTuesday 2020. So if I wanted to create a new one for 2021, I would just put GivingTuesday 2021 and set a goal. Let's say for my pretend organization, we're going to say we want to raise $50,000. So I'm going to click Save. Now, I want to do that because, one, I can connect it to the form. Two, if I go to my campaign, if I go to my dashboard now, I can go to my campaign progress. Let's refresh. I can go to my campaign progress, to my dashboard, and as long as that campaign is active and has a goal associated with it, I can select it here and track my progress toward that goal. You can do this in mobile as well, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but it allows you to easily track what your progress is toward that campaign. Now, in terms of the form, if you already have a form that you've used in the past for GivingTuesday, let's see. So you can see in my database, I already have a GivingTuesday form that I've deactivated. You can reactivate it and use it again for this year. So if you already have one, you can click on it. You can update, let me update my processor. And I'm going to update so that it's pointing to my 2021 campaign, since it's already 2021. So I can update all of these emails, reactivate the form, And this is just a preview of what information the form is collecting, but I just copy and paste the script onto my website. Or if you have a page that's already on your website that you've just hidden after Giving Tuesday ended, you can just make that page public again and then start tracking those donations. So I'm going to go back to the list here, and in my form for Giving Tuesday, all of the donations that come into that form are going to get tagged with that campaign, and I can see that feed into my campaign progress and start tracking from there. So those are a couple of things you can do. You can do this with Kindful fundraising as well. Anything that comes in through a Kindful fundraising form is also going to get brought into Bloomerang. It's going to have that same matching logic for the form will take a look at first name, last name, and either email address or phone. So if the information that the donor submits on the form matches what's already in Bloomerang, it's going to add their donation to their constituent account in Bloomerang. If the system doesn't find them yet in Bloomerang, then they're going to be added as a new constituent, and it's going to add the donation to their timeline. This is something I spoke briefly about earlier as well. You can use your mass emails, right? And there's really a lot of uses for your emails. One, you can help generate excitement. And again, it's never too early to start generating excitement. So don't worry about like, is it too early to start hyping people up for this? But conversely, it's not too late if you haven't created any of those emails yet, because we do have some email templates to share with you. So first, you can use it to help generate excitement and participation in your Giving Tuesday events and goals. And you can sort of use it as a teaser, right? This can be kind of like your save the date. We have an event, whatever you want to call it. We have something coming up at the end of November. Save the date. It's going to happen then. And you can decide ahead of time what your target audience is, right? And this is where your segmentation comes into play. Are you targeting everyone in your database that has an email address? Or are you targeting a smaller segment of constituents? For example, maybe you have, or maybe you want to do a combination. For example, you might have a different email for donors who donated last Giving Tuesday. They're already aware of Giving Tuesday, and maybe it's just a shorter teaser of when it's coming up again this year. Or perhaps you might have new donors that have not experienced Giving Tuesday with you yet. Do you want to target that? Do you want to have separate communications for them? Perhaps you might want to segment for donors who have given one time, but this time you're pushing them to become a recurring donor. So decide what those segments are, and you can message appropriately. And of course, with any of your messaging, include clear steps to act, right? Whether that is, this is our donation form, or we're having or inviting them to do a DIY fundraiser or to post on social media, make sure that you have clear steps to act. People want to help, but sometimes they need some ideas as to how best they can help your organization. So in terms of mass emails, let's go back into my database here. So if you go to the email templates, you will have maybe you've already noticed that, so we have our usual starter templates, but we also have Giving Tuesday templates here. These have been updated for this year, and there are several that you can choose from. For example, this is just your save the date. Hey, Giving Tuesday is happening. We're going to be participating. You can expect to hear from us more as the date draws near. Perhaps you want to engage your board members or volunteers more. You can use this and segment particularly for your board members and volunteers. For a day of Giving Tuesday, perhaps you want to give an email during day of. and then perhaps you want to do specifically a push for recurring giving to join the monthly giving program. Again, all of these templates are pre-made that you can use. You just need to segment for your particular segment. Who are you sending this to? You can make copies of these if you're sending them to different segments. And of course, very important, we talked earlier about personal interaction, and that includes thank yous. So again, you can go to emails, email templates, click new, and Giving Tuesday template. These are already available for you right now. And I see a question that has come in for how early should we start messaging? You can start now, you can start next week. That's why we're having this class today, is so you can start preparing these communications and have them go out even as early as next week. I also will have a link to the slides when you receive them. Giving Tuesday has a recommended timeline or communication timeline of X number of weeks out, this is what you, like let's say 4 weeks out, this is what you send. 3 weeks out, this is what you send. 2 weeks out, this is what you send. Now, these are all suggestions, right? You don't want to inundate your donors, or you know your donors best and what cadence works for them, but these are great suggestions that you can take a look at and customize and personalize for what works with your organization and your donors. What I love about the Giving Tuesday, let's go into one of the templates. Let's go into or join our monthly giving program. Earlier, we also talked about having a clear call to action in your email and personalizing your email. So when you look at any of our templates, it's going to have some merge fields here. We have some placeholders for where we think you can personalize the message. For example, your name of your organization, impact, put some images in there that donors and supporters will resonate with. Use those buttons for that clear call to action. Those buttons really stand out and really draw the eye, so that you want to make sure that the call to action is very clear. So these templates don't have any include filters right now. So this is where your segmentation comes in. So if you want to, for example, take a look at the templates first to give you some ideas of segmentation, you can do that. Or you can make copies of each of these templates if you want to do, or if you want to target more than one segment. So you can use, this is already built into your Bloomerang database, so it's available for you to use. Another thing I wanted to point out as well is we have the readability test. So the readability test measures how many you words versus we words that you use. And ideally, that's something that wherein you want to talk directly to the donor and talk about how they are making an impact, less so about your organization. Right now, we're using a lot of filler text that we want you to fill in. So hopefully when you personalize these communications, you will have the ideal ratio of using twice as many you words as we words. It also takes a look at the reading level test, right? And what we want that to happen is between the 6th and 8th grade level. And what that really says is it's easy for people to skim the content and really get to the meat of the information. So it doesn't matter if maybe you have a PhD. Ideally, you want to be communicating at a 6th to 8th grade level so that it's easily skimmable and easily readable by anyone. A couple of guidelines here as well that I wanted to share in terms of what makes for good fundraising copy. I'm not an expert on this, so I have some words here from people who are experts. So really at its core, it's words. Google thinks an email is good, meaning they don't bury it in a spam or promotion or social folder. If it reads like something you'd get from a friend, something that sounds personal and involving based on the words used. And really we talk about what is the relationship that you're building with the donor, and think about your approach there. You really want to personalize it to what is your voice as an organization and how do you engage your supporters with that. And really break down your appeals into donor-sized problems. Sometimes we know a lot more about what we do and all the impact and stuff, but what is a bite-sized portion that is easily digestible for the donor? Think about that. And also in terms of your segmentation, ask appropriately. Segmentation is key. We talk about this a lot. And what we've seen in the past year, especially during the pandemic, is that giving has gone up. People are still giving. However, the range at which they're giving is a little bit different, right? There was a slight decrease in mid-level donors and major donors, but there was still an uptick in general donors. So if that helps with your segmentation, to think about, okay, we have a specific appeal for donors of a certain size, you can take a look at that. Or I would even encourage you to take a look at how has giving been for your organization. Is this consistent with what you've experienced in the past year? And segment from there. But I hope this gives you some idea of what those ranges are and what those segments are that you can think about. Next, we've mentioned that there are so many social media impressions that happens on Giving Tuesday, and a big part of that is Twitter. With the Twitter Listening Hub in Bloomerang, you can track your donors' tweets about your organizations and issues that you care about. You can also view your donors' tweets in context with their transactions and interactions in Bloomerang. It can also help you identify potential constituents and ambassadors for your organization. Let's take a look at this real quick. So we have a Twitter Listening Hub here. And first, we're going to go to configuration. So for configuration, you can put in your Twitter handle if you're using Twitter, and you can add any hashtags that pertain to your organization, or if you have a specific hashtag that you're using for Giving Tuesday. I would recommend not using a generic hashtag, for example, like Giving Tuesday, because especially on the day of, you're going to get a lot of results, and it's going to be a lot of time and resources that I don't know if that's the best use of your time and effort to comb through those responses and find the ones that are relevant to your organization. But once you have that set up, you can go to tweets and you can take a look at mentions and hashtags. So you can take a look at donors, supporters, potential donors who are out there who are talking about your organization. If we find, or if Bloomerang finds that they are already in your database, you can see this match constituent button so that you can match, you can see their engagement level. But if they're not in your database yet, you'll see this match constituent button. I love periodically going through this because, hey, if someone is talking about your organization, they may not be a constituent yet in your database, but they're engaging with you. So this is a good place to take a look at who's talking about your organization, who's talking about the causes that are close to or about your organization, and how can you engage them. You can also take a look at hashtags. So again, if you're using a specific hashtag for Giving Tuesday, you can see who's been using your hashtag. And again, it's another way to engage your existing donors, engage your existing constituents to be part of your organization by sharing the message of your organization. I don't have any right now, and that's okay. But what I love about this as well is it's all well and good to have these tweets coming in to your database, but unless you're doing something with them, then you can think about, is it really worth having them in there? What I really love about this is maybe the first time you add a constituent from the Twitter Listening Hub, they may not have any donations yet, but eventually you want to have customer or a constituent who is engaging with your organization in different ways. So for example, you see here, Stephen is a constituent in my database. I can see that he tweets about Bloomerang a lot, but he also gives to Bloomerang. So you can see a better, more holistic picture of how this constituent engages with your organization. And another thing, I'm going to jump back to our forms here a little bit. And that's especially useful if you have those social media sharing options. I really love this because if you have the donation form on your website, after they donate, they have the option if they want to share this on social media. And if they do, and if you've configured the Twitter Listening Hub, I can go back and see that history. I can see that full picture of I sent them an email, they made a donation, they shared the donation form on their Twitter. And what a lovely picture that paints. And that's something that is an additional thing that you can use to engage with your constituent. Okay. So that's a lot of things in terms of preparation. And as we said earlier, you don't have to do all of these. You can pick and choose which of these works for your organization. Now, what about day of and after? Day of, a big thing that you're going to be doing is monitoring. You're going to be wanting to check your dashboard because that has your campaign progress and that has your first time donor calls. Very important if you're getting especially if you're getting first-time donors from your GivingTuesday efforts to keep track of that. You can also create some scheduled reports. Maybe you want to create a report in Bloomerang right now. Have that filtered for campaign is GivingTuesday 2021, the one that we created earlier, and have that scheduled to go out on day of at a certain time. So you can go ahead and set that report now. It's going to get sent to you or whoever you would like whenever it's scheduled. You can also set your email notifications for online donations. If you have a specific GivingTuesday form, who needs to be notified as donations are coming in? And of course, you want to do your emails, your posts on social media as well. And then say thank you. Once your events wrap up, be sure to always say, you can never say thank you enough. Those are donors, those are phone calls that donors love to get. And do what makes sense for your organization. You can send them an email, send them a letter, schedule reports for if you want to assign out who to call, who will make calls. And again, we are big fans of Bloomerang of your donor calls, especially for first-time donors. This is a sample cultivation timeline, especially for starting from when the donation is received and kind of a good cadence that you can follow in terms of thanking donors and getting them to the second gift. As we mentioned, GivingTuesday, don't think of it as a one-time thing. Think of it longer term. How can you keep that relationship going? How can you get them to the second gift? And again, you'll have access to these slides too. Some Bloomerang data on why we are big fans of phone calls. We looked at data, so an impact of phone calls on first-time donor retention for people who received a phone call, one phone call, more than one phone call within 90 days of the gift. They were more likely to give again. They were also more likely to give sooner. The time between gifts goes down. And their second gift was bigger because, again, you're building that relationship with the donor. They're building that story. They're engaging with you, so they're likely to give more. So people who get, or donors who get phone calls are likely to give again, are likely to give sooner, and are likely to give a second gift that is bigger. Now, if you are using our mobile app, which right now is only for iOS, how can you help? How can your mobile app, how can the Bloomerang mobile app help you on day of Giving Tuesday? It really helps you monitor your progress, first of all. You can display multiple campaigns together to compare campaign progress compared to last year. You can use the activity feed to check for new donations as they come in. You can add favorites for your top donors that you will want to quickly check in on or want to make a quick phone call to. So let's take a look at that. Here's a screenshot here of how you can display multiple campaigns on your mobile dashboard. This is something that's only available in mobile right now. So on web, you can only see that one campaign progress. On mobile, you can put as many as you want. So you can, for example, have your Giving Tuesday 2019, Giving Tuesday 2020, Giving Tuesday 2021, whatever you'd like, so you can compare the progress that you're making. Another thing that I love is the activity feed. A lot of times what I like to do is I just like to swipe to keep refreshing the activity feed. And this is something that you can easily do. You don't need to be logged in on your computer. You can just have your phone with you a couple of times during the day, refresh the activity feed to see new donations that are coming in. I love that this shows you the amount of the donation as well as who the donor is. So if there are particular donors that I'm watching, I can see right away, oh, hey, that's Blossom. Let me give Blossom a call. Or, oh, hey, that's a $500 gift. I should go ahead and make them a call and give them a call to thank them. Also, favorites. So this is user specific. So I will have my own favorites different from a coworker's favorites. So I can keep track of the constituents in my database that are favorites for me. Let's say they are top donors or they are assigned to me as their major gift officer, that you will want to quickly check in on. And also use those thank you calls. I'm going to link to, I want to give a lot of time for questions, so I'm going to link to a quick video that our mobile team has prepared for us and how you can really use these thank you calls. So for example, let's say I'm scrolling through my activity feed. I see that Blossom, the orangutan, has made a big donation. So from the activity feed, I can just tap on their name, and then that will take me to their constituent account. And then from their constituent account, I can just, with one tap of my finger, give them a ring, make that phone call. After that phone call, I am prompted to create an interaction about that phone call. And once I put in my notes, I can save that interaction. And it's really like, it seems so easily. I've spent more time talking about it than I've spent more time talking about it than the time it would actually take to do it, right? So I'm constantly throughout the day refreshing my activity feed. I see Blossom makes a donation, make a call, record the interaction, done. I don't even have to bring my computer out. I just do it all on my phone. Now, when you do call out, it is going to use, you are making that call from your phone. There is no calling feature from within Bloomerang, so you are making that from your phone. Or if that's not something you're comfortable with, I still like having that information right in front of me. If I use a Google phone or if I use a landline even, having that information right at my fingertips as I'm making that call, and having that recency of like, when I put that phone down, I can go ahead and make my notes and make that interaction is just super easy. We looked at these graphs before of how personal communication can help drive that revenue. And I wanted to touch on how you can use mobile with that as well. So with phone calls, you have the quick contact option and you have the first time donor call list. We've heard we know a lot of our customers love that first-time donor call feature. That's also available in mobile. So again, whichever maybe you're assigned to, or whichever segment of donors you're focusing on, you can take a look at that. Am I monitoring my favorites? Am I monitoring the activity feed? Am I monitoring that first-time donor call list? Regardless of which one I'm focusing on, I can make that phone call right away. For personal emails, use the BCC to Bloomerang feature. A lot of times I'm still surprised that people don't know about this feature because I personally love it. So what it does is if you have the contact open on your phone and you send them an email, so I have the mobile app open, I send them an email from there, it automatically includes the BCC email. And what this does is when you send a personal email to the donor, and BCC Bloomerang, it adds that to their timeline. So it reflects on their engagement level. You can see the actual email that you sent, even though it was personalized. You can see the actual email that was sent to the donor, and all of that history is recorded on their timeline. You can text from the mobile app as well. Now, again, I say this as you know your donors best. If you have that relationship with your donors, and that's something that, if that's a channel that they already engage with you through, you can use texting there as well. And of course, always follow the donor's preference to build the best relationship. A big thing about mobile as well is we tell you if the constituent or if the donor has a preferred communication channel, so you can use that communication channel. And it even does things, for example, like if the donor is marked as do not call, I'm sorry if you're hearing me gesturing in the background, if your donor has said, for example, don't give me a call, emails are great, then when you when you go to the quick contact, we kind of remove that option as like to kind of prompt you that, hey, they said don't call, or they said that this is preferred channel. And our mobile app is free to download. We'll include a link to in the slides as well. It is the same database that you log into when you're using Bloomerang on your computer. There isn't a separate login. So it's your same login credentials. It's the same database. So anything that you have, like constituent and transaction information, when you log onto your computer, you have access to the exact same data when you log into Bloomerang through the mobile app. And lastly, of course, you can combine these two together, right? Let's say you can send them an email or write an email, but you can have the donor's profile open on your phone as you're doing it. You can call your donor from your phone with the profile, or like have it, let's say you prefer a bigger screen on your computer when you're looking at their information or transaction history, and then just make calls on your phone and still make those calls easily and record those interactions easily. You can you can set up tasks in a web and get notifications on your phone. So we have you can enable push notifications from Bloomerang, and you'll get notified when a task is assigned to you, or if it gets updated, or if it's overdue. You can also create a report online, but add interactions from your phone. And really also, there's so many uses for your phone as well, that it's such easy access, that it's right in your pocket, it's right in your hand, and you have access to all of that information. And really, what we want to say is use Bloomerang to make your Giving Tuesday easier. We know that you have goals to reach. We want to help with that. We hope that one of these tools will help you. You don't have to use all of them, but use Giving Tuesday. Don't be pressured into using all of these tools, but use Bloomerang to make it easier for you. Do what makes sense for your organization and its goals. You also maybe think about what plan the communications you have sent. So don't overwhelm your donors with lots of emails throughout the day. Find a balance, find a good balance. But consider sending a midday update with the amount raised, right? That's why we're tracking that campaign progress. And again, donors already love you. They already support your organization. They want to help. So make it easy for them to help. And very important, don't forget about the longer term follow-up, especially with first-time donors. And especially if this is your first time participating in Giving Tuesday, don't think of it as a once a year thing. Think of it as the starting point to the relationship. Think of Giving Tuesday as part of your overall or part of your bigger strategy for year-end giving. Don't just stop at, oh, this is a once a year thing. How can I keep the relationship going with those donors? We have a lot of resources to share with you all. If you could just go to the Bloomerang website, that's bloomerang.co/GivingTuesday. That's constantly going to get updated with material. And if there's material that you're looking for, send us an email, drop us a note somewhere. We'll be happy to get those resources for you. You can also subscribe. So whenever we come out with new content for Giving Tuesday, you'll get notified. We also have a lot of upcoming academy classes for these individual parts. If you want to learn to set up your online giving using Bloomerang, we have a class for that. If you want to use Kindful fundraising for peer-to-peer or for your online giving forums, we have a class for that. If you want to set up your Twitter listening hub or your mass emails, we have classes for all of those things. Make use of those Giving Tuesday email templates in Bloomerang. Especially personalize them for your organization. Also, I've linked here givingtuesday.org. They have a lot of resources. They also, so if you go to resources, they have a lot of different toolkits that you can use. So you don't even have to make your own graphics. They have some key messages that, again, you can personalize for your organization. They have templates. They have a generosity calendar. They have a communications timeline, and for different types as well, or for the different types of organizations. So check those out. We have all of these linked in the slides. We have a question here that asks, we're looking at Facebook for forms, announcements, and events. How can we best use Bloomerang for that? Great question. So Bloomerang doesn't integrate directly with Facebook, but that doesn't prevent you from encouraging your donors and your supporters to spread the word about what you're doing on Facebook, but also link to your donation form. I'm going to go to my website here. Sorry, not website, online giving form. There is an option here to view a self-hosted form. So if I click into this, that's going to give me the snippet of code to populate the form on my website. So you can link them directly there, or you have the option here for a hosted form as well. You can take this URL and point people directly here. Another thing you can do with Facebook is, if you're already in the form, those social media sharing options, do that, because again, that's not just you sharing the content on Facebook, but it's your supporters sharing that to their Facebook feed and their friends. So that multiplies the effect. Great question. Thank you for that. Yes, the slides from the presentation will be emailed. So you will receive an email with a link to the recording and the slides, and all the resources will be linked in the slides. Yes, some questions on our mobile app. Right now, it is for iOS, and you have to be on, I think, 13 or higher. And Android is coming. We know we want to get that out to you, so we're working really hard on that. And we'll include a link to download the iOS app in the slides as well. Well, thank you so much. We are going to comb through some of the questions later, and if you have any questions that we didn't get to live today, we will make sure to follow up via email. Thank you, Scott, for answering questions from our friends today. Thank you, everyone, for spending an hour of your day with us. We hope that this was helpful for you. Again, if there's resources that you're looking for, don't hesitate to let us know, and we'll try to find those resources for you. Thank you again, and we hope you have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you in another Academy class soon. Bye.